Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Perino, along with Jedediah Bila, Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. A fiery moment at the White House today. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders fighting back against the media.
As far as I know, I'm the first press secretary in the history of the United States that's required Secret Service protection.
We'll have more on that in a moment. But first, President Trump is back on the campaign trail tonight in Pennsylvania as a familiar foe emerges to counter his message in the midterms. Former President Obama announcing he's planning to stump for Democrats this fall. If it's anything like 2016, the battle between the two heavyweights is sure to get nasty. Watch.
Thousands of Americans would be alive today if not for the open border policies of Barack Obama.
They say Donald lacks the foreign policy experience to be president. But in fairness, he has spent years meeting with leaders from around the world. Miss Sweden, Miss Argentina, Miss Azerbaijan.
President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS.
The Donald is not really a plans guy. He's not really a facts guy either.
This is a president who doesn't have a clue.
The guy says stuff that nobody would find tolerable if they were applying for a job at 7-Eleven.
Meanwhile, Obama is endorsing dozens of Democrats and making headlines for who he's backing and who he's not. He's throwing his weight behind a congressional candidate in New Mexico who wants to abolish ICE, and he's snubbing self-proclaimed socialist Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Jesse, is this the election we deserve? A rematch between Donald Trump and Barack Obama?
I would love to see those two debate, wouldn't you? That'd be just a bloodbath right there. I mean, I think the country already rejected a third Obama term when they rejected Hillary Clinton, and Obama doesn't do very well when he's not on the ballot. Remember, he just got shellacked during both midterms during his presidency, and him getting back on the trail activates the Democratic base, but it also reactivates the Republican base. So they're going to be pretty fired up when they see him out there stumping. I don't believe the country wants to look backwards. I think the country wants to look forwards. What we saw during the Obama years were a terrible economy, racial riots, a lot of consternation in the public. There wasn't a lot of good things that were happening, healthcare chaos, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're in a new environment. And for Obama to get back out there, I don't think helps. I think actually hurts the Democrats and gives President Trump a big punching bag. That's a very big target.
It is true that President Trump does well when he has something to punch against. Juan, do you think that Democrats, though, will benefit from President Obama being out on the campaign trail for them?
Tremendously.
Would you like to expand?
60%, 60% plus approval rating, high energy, and we know about his capacity as an orator or just as a campaigner. It's very strong. And then when you think about it, for example, on these endorsements, he has been strategic. He endorses candidates where his endorsement will benefit them. He doesn't endorse, for example, Joe Manchin in West Virginia, which is a strong Trump state. He doesn't endorse Joe Donnelly in Indiana, a strong. So he's picking his spots, and I think he's doing so very well. And also, don't forget, money counts, Dana, in politics. And he's very good at raising money, and he's going to have his supporters and people who think he's still the cat's meow come out. Now, when you talk about energy or something like Jesse was saying, healthcare and so forth, healthcare chaos. Healthcare chaos is what we got now, where you see the Trump administration trying to provide these inadequate, subpar plans.
Some people
say,
like
short-term
plans.
Tell that to the people that lost their plans when he promised.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Let's not argue about it. Just look at what the American people are saying. Trust the American people for once. They're saying they want Obamacare.
They voted for Trump.
They want
because
Obamacare.
They didn't want that stuff.
No, they voted.
Then why did they vote against Hillary?
Here's what I would say to you. They voted in 2010 in reaction to Obamacare. Remember, it was being belittled and demonized at the time by opponents, but boy, the American people's attitudes have shifted.
It's a fortune. I mean, that's the problem. Like, I mean, I think Republicans have to do a better job. Obamacare was
talking about single payer.
A fortune.
No, I think there's an argument now about single payer.
No,
and
that too. That's even worse.
Okay.
But, I mean, I agree with you. I think President Obama does a great job as a campaigner. I think that's his strength. But the problem is he has to campaign now against success. He has to campaign against policies that have worked. He has to look people in the eye whose taxes have gone down, who have less regulation, who have been able to expand their businesses, who have more freedom, where you have an administration who's saying, we don't like Obamacare. We want to find out ways to give you opportunities to get the health insurance you decide is right for you. And he has to say, oh, that GDP growth and that decreased taxation, oh, that's all bad. So what is he going to do? He's going to do what he does best, and he's going to pivot to Republicans and Trump hate immigrants, which is a lie. Republicans and Trump hate, all this nonsense that he always does.
She makes a good point, Greg, about is President Obama.
My name's Jedediah.
Yes, Jedediah. Her makes a good point. Can President Obama really go out there and talk down the economy? I mean, it's not a good idea to talk down prosperity.
No.
Yes, and we can tell by that montage that we showed that everything Obama said was scripted, everything Trump said was off the cuff. So that's in Trump's favor. Look, I feel bad for the Democrats. It's like they dropped their iPhone in the toilet. So now they went to the junk drawer to get the flip phone. That's Obama. He's the flip phone. They had to get something out of storage to save their party.
It should be more like iPhone 4 and Hillary Clinton.
I'm going to stick. Don't try to screw with my analogies, Dana. That's all I've got going. And how, you know what this is? This is really about time off. The media and the comedians have been working really hard, and they needed a much deserved nap. Obama's back in town. They know he's off limits. You can't make jokes about Obama, right? No comedian's going to make any jokes. The media doesn't have to chase Obama around. They don't have to hound him. So basically what Obama is, it's a break for the comedians, and it's a break for the media because they can't joke about him. I don't blame Obama for coming out of hiding. He's basically yesterday's special on the restaurant blackboard that Trump came out in the morning and erased.
Yeah, so
it's happier to have Obama than Clinton out there, right?
Absolutely. I mean, Obama's much better than crooked Hillary, and it sets up a big contrast as opposed to a referendum. If there's no big punching bag or villain for Trump to run against, it's a little more difficult. But when you have Barack Obama out there, the media is going to hoist those two guys back up into the center and make it a cage match. And in terms of the endorsements, from what we're hearing, he only made those endorsements because his former staff members were working for those candidates. I don't know how strategic it was, and I understand why he didn't endorse Cortez, because if he had done that, that would have created a huge problem with the Democratic Party, because that would have been a major blow to the centrist wing of the party, and they don't need that kind of fight right now going into the midterms.
Maybe he also watched some of our interviews, because I watched them and I wasn't that impressed. No, seriously. I mean, when she's posed with a question as to she has these lofty ideas about, oh, let's give Medicare for all, when you ask her how she's going to pay for it, her answer is absurd. When you ask her about the Israeli-Palestinian crisis, she has no idea what she's talking about. So President Obama, I disagree with him on a lot of things. He's not a stupid guy. I think he's probably worried about that.
Yeah, politically smart non-endorsement.
So I'm curious how you guys pose this. You say, is Obama going to run against the economy? Obama's the guy that saved the American economy. And not only did he save the American economy, at the moment, Jesse, it's Republicans who are not. Oh, you kidding? You must have forgotten. We had a great recession in 2008 that almost wrecked
starting to come
the
out
American
of it
economy.
by the time he took office.
And then, Jesse, it seems to me that this.
So actually,
which everyone said,
Bush saved the economy.
And then Obama said, no, it was me.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, is that right? I see. I think if you let's go back and look at the
So
numbers.
Obama's responsible for everything good. Trump responsible for everything bad. I don't even agree with the reverse. Come on.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying go look at the facts. If you want to go look at the economic arrows and directions coming out of 2008 when Obama was elected first term and what the United States has done since, you'd say, that guy did pretty well.
I would say weakest recession since World War II coming out of.
Because guess what? It was the worst
and
recession
usually when they're really
Great
bad,
Depression.
the recovery is really good.
I'll tell you that
was very
on the
soft.
economy. Here's the news going into the midterms.
Yes.
Republicans had planned to run on the Trump tax cuts. Everybody is still encouraging Republicans to say, hey, talk about the economy, folks. Forget the demonizing of immigrants. Forget going after the NFL players and playing all those kind of fear cards.
I don't know if you heard the Trump rally the other night.
What?
He was talking up the tax cuts pretty big.
Guess what? It's not working, Jesse.
Is it really?
Not only
Because
that,
it is
it's not. It's the American
congressional
people
ballot's
who say,
pretty tight, Juan.
The American people say they haven't seen their wages increase.
Who are these American people that you've been talking to, Juan, on the Acela train?
Oh no! You know what? You should go look at some polls.
I look at polls.
Stop spouting your notes.
No. The funny thing is, you pick and choose polls and overlook ones like the ones about Russian collusion, in which they say they're not interested at all in the babble that you spout.
Oh yeah, let me say they are interested in whether or not this president was having some collusion.
The optimism has never been higher. Optimism has never been higher, and that's not in my notes, Juan.
No, let me just say, why did you see so many Trump officials come out today and say we are actively engaged in trying to stop the Russians from interfering in the 2016 race? It's because, Greg, those people understand the American people do care about the idea of
the polling shows that it's not that issue ranked less than any other issue.
And he wants to talk about Russia because he can't talk about the economy.
Oh, no, he just
no, honestly, do people have more jobs right now? Are the unemployment numbers down?
Yes.
Okay, the unemployment. Do people have more money in their pockets to put food on their table, provide for their kids? You don't think so?
No.
I talk to people every day that say, you know what, I couldn't get a job 5 years ago, and now I can.
No,
that's what I'm talking about with the economy. If he goes out and he talks about the shrinking unemployment numbers, if he goes out and he talks about providing more opportunities for people with health care or whatever it may be, if he goes out and talks about low taxes and people are feeling those impacts in their pocketbook every day, that's all that matters. Nobody's going to be talking about collusion with Russia, which, by the way, there's been no proof of if they can't put food on the table for their kids.
Well, I would agree, but I'm just telling you right now, I mean, you don't even have to just say, oh, Democrats think this. Look at what Republican strategists are saying. They would like to get on the economy. They like to pump that up. But what they see is it's not working with the voters. And Trump is talking about, of course, as we saw at the rally.
I'll leave you with one last headline, not from a fake news article, from CNBC. CNBC says, quote, worker compensation at highest level since 2008.
Yeah,
that's not Fox News.
No,
that's not Breitbart. That is CNBC. They know the data.
Correct. And it's what you see is it's a very slow, stagnant.
That's just a really. Juan, I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's just still, it's super hard to try to make that argument.
It isn't hard.
Obama might try to do it. But I think that...
I don't think they're running against the economy. I think they're just saying be realistic. And most Americans, the reason people are frustrated with the economy is they feel they're not getting their share.
Those are generalizations that are not proven. Okay. What were you going to say? I want to hear what you were about to say.
About...
That he cut you off.
I don't exactly remember. I was just saying it's hard to make that. The argument that he's trying to make is very hard to make when the headlines across all the papers are that things are better. Optimism feels, but it's like a feeling. So President Trump is going. They're going to have a battle, and you know what? Actually, we don't even know exactly what is going to happen in October. That's always a month when there's big news on all sorts of things.
That's true.
He could have a really good GDP number and a jobs number that month. That could be the talk of the town. There could be some disaster. There could be some, you never know what's going to happen, but I think the president is pretty well positioned going into this debate. I'll give myself the last word. Next, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders criticizing the media after being personally attacked.
Although it isn't easy for me to see the reason why we worry about tomorrow when all we have.
Welcome back. It's time for Greg is a Hypocrite with Greg Gutfeld. Yes, today I'm going to be a hypocrite because what I'm about to tell you to do is something I should be telling myself, which is to be a nicer person. There's been a lot of fretting over the behavior toward the media at Trump rallies, the jeering and the heckling. I don't think it's a big deal. If the world were an auto show, America's the loud muscle car. The noise is part of our charm. And no one's scaring the press into silence. Believe me, they're louder than ever. Much of the jeering is born from a growing mistrust for a media that under Obama had cosmetic spine removal surgery to look better for that dreamy president. Obama for them was like Muzak on Prozac. But now that Trump's here, the media is now working overtime. Things ignored under Obama are now crimes under Trump. It's the contrast that ticks all of us off. But still, we as Americans can do better. Heckling, it isn't a good look, especially when you're winning, and you are winning. The country is winning. So let it go. You're just scaring the kids. Remember Sean Kelly, the pitcher who threw a tantrum even as his team was up by 20? You don't want to be that guy. It brings the good guys down. So when you're in the lead, it's up to you to lead. Elevate your game. Junk the jeers. And at tonight's rally, turn it into Media Appreciation Night. Show them some love. Who knows? That will probably freak them out even more. All right, let's get right to the basically what the story of the day is, which is my haircut.
I didn't even notice.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. And also, Sarah Sanders was responding to a reporter that works for a 3-lettered network who uses a lot of Brill cream. Won't name him, but it's about the relationship that she has with the media and what it's cost her.
Repeatedly, the media resorts to personal attacks without any content other than to incite anger. The media has attacked me personally on a number of occasions, including your own network, said I should be harassed as a life sentence, that I should be choked. ICE officials are not welcomed in their place of worship, and personal information is shared on the internet. When I was hosted by the Correspondents Association, of which almost all of you are members of, you brought a comedian up to attack my appearance and call me a traitor to my own gender. In fact, as I know, as far as I know, I'm the first press secretary in the history of the United States that's required Secret Service protection.
You know, Dana, I know that she's the flashpoint for the administration, and that's why comedians go after her and things like that. But it does seem like it is different.
I don't think any comedian ever knew I existed. And, you know, I kind of liked it that way.
Well, they couldn't see you. You know, the podium was about 2 inches above your head. They called you the invisible press secretary.
They did. And I was about that effective as well.
you were
This
great.
is true.
Not true.
Look, obviously, I don't know of another press secretary that has needed a Secret Service protection. It's unnerving. I also think it's unnecessary. I also think that, well, for example, like some of the things she said are true, but like the comedian they had at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, that woman was responsible for her own words, and almost everybody in fact, I think the official statement from the White House Correspondents Association was how outraged they were, how embarrassed, and they all rushed to say that was so wrong because they do have respect for Sarah Sanders, but you could hear in her voice she's not having it. And then to your point about the rallies, it's not, you almost quoted somebody.
Who?
Michelle Obama.
Oh, what did I say?
When they go low, we go high. Like, be nicer. But I think
somebody said that before her.
Probably so.
I think it was
but
Jesus Christ.
When you see...
It was.
Actually... You're probably right.
No, I know.
Well, actually,
it's called turning the other cheek.
The Ten Commandments had it even before then.
Yes.
All right, so these are age-old...
That's the first tablet, by the way.
I know. That was one of my corny jokes.
Yes.
Anyway, I don't know if I'm helping here or not. I don't like the...
Just don't swear.
The jeering at the press, I think, it's gotten to be too much.
Yeah. What do you think, Jed? I understand... Like, we make fun of the press. That's why I say I'm a hypocrite. Yeah. And they don't have, people at the Trump rallies, they don't have a TV show. They don't have the option to go off on people. So when they see an unnamed anchor from a 3-lettered network, they see him, they do it. Whereas we don't, that's why when I'm passing judgment on them, I know I'm a hypocrite because I could do that whenever I want. But so I'm trying to tell them, it would look better if you didn't.
Yeah, but they're mad. I mean, these people have, remember the demonization of the Tea Party rallies?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these people were destroyed for so long. They're tired of it. They're tired of people claiming to be objective journalists who have an agenda. They're tired of, people making fun of them or reporters thinking, oh, well, these are Trump supporters, so, they're this and they're that, and saying negative things about them. They're tired of it. And I don't condone, any violence or name calling. Honestly, it undermines the cause when you do things like that. But I understand these people's frustration. And I also feel like they have watched their politicians that they liked for so long. Sarah Palin, President Bush, these people were destroyed by most of the media. Now they have a guy who's not going to take it. He doesn't want to take it sitting down. He wants to stand up. He calls them out and they're cheering, saying finally someone who answers these people. So I get it. Even though I don't condone bad behavior, I do understand the frustration. And you're right. We get to sit here and we get to have our microphone, and their microphone is real life and they've had it. I totally get it.
You just changed my mind about my monologue. Yeah. Everything that I just said.
This is for volume 2.
Yes, this just changed everything I'm going to say. Can we just, before I get you guys, the Trump just tweeted about something. They asked my daughter Ivanka whether or not the media is the enemy of the people, so it's about the media. She correctly said, no, it is the fake news, which is a large percentage of the media. That is the enemy of the people. Juan, that's a good distinction. I've always said that he's talking about the fake news, not the real news.
I think he's trying to backtrack, but it's far too late. This is not about the base, the Trump base. I think this is about the Trump cult. In other words, people.
You can't keep calling supporters cultists.
There's not. Hey, look, boy, that rally Monday, that looked like. Remember, we
You
were
could do that
talking
to
about,
the Obama supporters.
No, you could
the
not.
crying
They weren't
Obama
walking
supporters.
around with QAnon and Seth Rich and all the rest. And here's
You
the
forget.
thing.
You forget
All
the
right, let
Obama
me just-
supporters.
You know what? You had a
bunch of
monologue.
truthers.
Just
Remember
a
those
second.
people?
Let me
They have
talk.
crazy people there,
You
too.
think about the idea that they would exclude a reporter from an open availability because the reporter dared to ask or shout a question at the president. You think about the idea they're limiting press briefings now to the lowest number that we've ever seen.
The press has never
And
been
you
more vocal,
understand-
Juan.
And you understand exactly what this president is doing.
He's not doing anything.
What are you talking about? He's the one that started with the enemy
Listen
of
to how
the
loud
press.
you are, Juan. No one's shutting you up. But
What are you
Trump
ta-
is making you.
No,
Trump,
he keeps
Trump is
talking,
making you
so I can't
louder.
talk.
Trump is making you angrier.
No,
Trump
he's
is
not.
making
I'm
you
trying
talk
to-
more.
I'm-
Fake Trump.
I'm trying to speak to you honestly and explain something,
Yeah.
which is that I think this guy who started with enemy of the American people, that's what he said. He described
news.
reporters, that's fake news.
No, I'm saying he was talking about fake news.
He
No,
just
he's
said it 2
not.
months ago, too.
Yeah.
I mean,
He said
But
it
he's
right
talking-
at
you know
the
what he's
start.
talking
He said it in 2016. He said it again in 2017 after his disastrous performance with Putin in Helsinki. He went, oh, I had a great summit. It was that fake news media. What's fake about that? We just simply reported that he said he believed Putin, not American intelligence.
He's saying you're missing my point. The enemy of the people. He's saying is the fake news, not the news.
He was not saying
That's
that
what
back then. He's trying to walk it back now, but because even his own daughter is saying
I remember the
that's wrong.
remember the very first tweet on this.
This is a guy who has persuaded. What does he have? 90% support among Republicans. So now you get a situation where 90% of Republicans say, well, whatever Trump says about collusion, I'll believe it, but only 5% will agree
Jesse.
that the media is trying to represent the best of First Amendment rights and
Because they watch
democratic
the news, they turn on the TV, and the vast majority of people in media are salivating, waiting with bated breath for him to do anything that they can say negative things about.
Yeah, that's why,
just a fact. That's
Jedediah,
not to
that's
say
why-
all in media are bad.
Jedediah, that's why he then, his son tweets out somebody, CNN sucks, CNN sucks. He retweets it. What do you think he's doing? He's trying to gin up the base, and now he's trying to say, oh, well, be nice, base, but you know what I really mean.
All right,
Well,
Jesse.
Obama didn't have to bash the press because the press loved him,
But
and
he
they
did
were
it
his
anyway.
base.
He only bashed us.
And he bashed Fox News, and Fox News is what, 5% of the overall media? I will say this, okay? You bring up 90%. 90% of the media coverage against this president has been negative, yet his approval rating is at 50%.
Oh,
so
get
there's a
out of
huge
here.
disconnect there, Juan.
50%.
Let's
Yep.
address something
Where did
else,
you
too.
see that,
It hit that
Rasmussen?
today.
Rasmussen.
So
Rasmussen nailed to the 2016 election.
Let me
so
just say,
put
he's
your fake polls-
underwater. Real Clear
One
Politics
poll you
average.
overlooked.
Juan.
I'm telling you, Real Clear Politics average includes Rasmussen, by the way, and has him 9 points
You're underwater too, because you're all wet. Let me finish.
Oh, here I am.
Also, look at this analogy. Say I'm an Eagles fan. All right, I wear my Eagles jersey and I go to a Washington Redskins game. I'm going to get jeered. I'm going to get heckled. People are going to yell and taunt me, and that's how it is. You can put your jersey on, you come to an Eagles game, and they're going to do the same thing. What's happening at these rallies? The base is spirited. They have a lot of spirit. I don't agree with the middle finger. That's not right. But to yell at a reporter is not the same as some of the things that have done to Trump supporters. Trump
been beaten
supporters
up.
have been assaulted. They've
What?
been
Oh,
punched
my
in the
gosh.
face.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of bad things have happened, okay? And to not condemn those things, which the media doesn't do. Remember Maxine Waters said what she said, chase people out of restaurants. Dana Lash had armed security to go into a CNN town hall. You should see when I go to a campus. I have armed security around me. I mean, so we're all grown men here and women. We can handle some taunts. It's not that big of a deal.
All right. You have a fun?
I have a great point about the media spends a lot of time reporting about the media. That's what they do. It's in their nature. And they are missing so many big stories that they could actually go after President Obama on, like these cafe standards, like all the environmental stuff that used to be on the front page of the New York Times. The president is like basically allowing his cabinet to do all these great things while he provides air cover with his tweets.
Yeah, and the media-
So, like, they are making a huge mistake by not focusing
Brilliant.
on the actual
That was
stuff.
a brilliant
Thank
point.
you.
That goes into your brilliant point journal.
Hey, thanks.
No swearing.
Okay.
After getting trounced by Trump in 2016, Clinton has a new gig. The latest hypocrisy from Hillary. That is next.
Brace yourselves. Crooked Hillary is back. Clinton's now going from politics to the small screen, teaming up with her friend Steven Spielberg to executive produce a TV show about women's suffrage. The failed Democratic presidential nominee tweeted that she's thrilled to be joining forces with Hollywood. Seems like everybody wants to produce movies and TV now, Greg.
It's amazing, and this is the great thing about being a liberal. When you lose, you still win.
Yes.
She is a feminist hero who turned a blind eye to her husband's unseemly shenanigans and his victims, and also partying down with Hurricane Harvey Weinstein. I think maybe Stephen should tackle that movie first. How do you know?
That would be a good one.
I mean, the Democrats really did benefit from Hollywood's silence over Harvey Weinstein, because that marauding money bags was able to fund that party with Democrat cash.
But shouldn't Hillary be able to do whatever she wants in not the twilight of her life, but, you know, after
Absolutely.
her years and years of public service?
Absolutely. I have no problem with that. It just is, you know, pretty ironic. But like, where else? Hollywood also gave big contracts to the Obamas, right?
And Netflix, right?
is going to do a bunch of things. You know, they don't bang down any doors of Republicans, and maybe that's just a cultural thing. But fine, that's whatever. I do think that, you know, a movie about Harvey Weinstein would probably be pretty interesting.
Oh, it sure would.
Who's gonna cast that one?
Yeah.
Sure would. Yeah, I don't know if anybody wants that role. Juan, what do you think about Hillary getting back out there?
Well, I mean, I think one of the realities of American politics today is that people talk about the midterms in terms of could this be a blue wave for Democrats? And I see stories these days that say there's a pink wave coming. And the pink wave is about so many women candidates, about problems Republicans are having with suburban white women and the like. And I think she is an icon to those folks. She has made the case since her defeat that, in fact, part of the problem was people just are uncomfortable with a woman, and that Trump, who had no problem grabbing women and bragging about it, that people make excuses for him.
It is amazing, though, that Hillary lost the white female vote to Donald Trump. Isn't that surprising?
And to correct that, they weren't
It's a racist, don't you? You forgot.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
To correct that, though, they weren't comfortable with a liar. She had lied repeatedly, and she just happened to be a woman who had lied repeatedly, to correct that.
Seriously?
But what's interesting,
Trump has not a problem with lying?
she was a known liar. She had already deceived the public. She had lied repeatedly about forms she had signed. She lied through her teeth. And they knew it already. But what's interesting to me about this is a film about the suffrage movement and about, you know, fighting to win the right to vote. Isn't this the woman who just told everybody recently that married white women voted for Trump because their dads and their brothers
that's right. They were convinced.
told them to?
Yeah.
I mean, this is supposed to be some champion of women and representative of all women. She's one of the most divisive figures even on any issue.
How is that divisive?
How is it divisive to say that married white women?
If she believes that to be true, why is that divisive?
Because it's insulting to all of the married white women.
I see. You don't
who voted for
That
Trump
women
because
can't
they
think for
believe-
themselves. That is the.
Yeah, it's very.
I could see how women would find that insulting.
Yeah.
You know, you really aren't thinking for yourself. You're doing it because your husband.
Because your husband
would
told
probably.
you to.
My wife would be upset by that.
Yeah, all right. NFL quarterback Dak Prescott facing intense left-wing backlash for saying players should stand for the anthem. He's now responding to that next.
The NFL anthem controversy heating up yet again. Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott not backing down after he received backlash for saying stadiums are not the proper venue for protest, even though he also said he supports the message coming from the protesting players. Jesse, you're a football fan. We know that Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, said, you know, the Cowboys policy is going to be to stand. The NFL then said, Jerry, we have a stand down agreement with the players. Let's not have any more comments. And now here comes Dak Prescott, his star quarterback.
I hate to say this about a Cowboy, but I think he nailed it. It's the exact correct stance to take. All he's saying is that he respects the anthem and believes that that moment of 2 minutes at a football stadium is a time of national unity. And he says, I'm not going to disparage anybody that wants to kneel. That's their MO. And not to say that there's not a lot of social justice problems in this country that need to be addressed, and he'd like to address them. Just not during those 2 minutes of the anthem. And now he's getting backlash. I think D.L. Hughley said he only said this because he wanted to please his master, Jerry Jones, because he was the owner and he had to say this because he's under contract. I really dislike that. It seems like anytime there's a black athlete who comes out against the liberal orthodoxy, they're attacked for having a different independent opinion. It happens all across the stratosphere with Clarence Thomas, Kanye West, Ben Carson. Whenever you voice an opinion aside from what the liberals want you to say, you're attacked as a race traitor, and I don't appreciate that. And I don't think Dak does either.
I think what D.L. Hughley said is similar to what we just said in the last block of Hillary Clinton saying that white suburban women or white women only voted for Trump because their husbands told them to. It's like, actually, you know what? Guess what? Newsflash, it's 2018, and everybody can think for themselves. I think what Dak Prescott did showed real leadership, and that's what quarterbacks do, right? They lead.
What do you think, Jedediah? Because in this moment, it's also the case that there's tremendous momentum among the NFL players to say, this is our moment to take a stand, to stand together, and to call attention. It's our moment, our platform for calling attention to social injustice, police brutality.
I mean, and that may be true, but his statement was so non-controversial. I mean, I think that was why I was surprised, because I'm used to the mob going after people when they come out and they say something that really goes against the grain. But this guy was saying, I mean, even part of his quote was, I respect everybody and power to the people that kneel. This is what they believe in, and they should be able to kneel. So it was completely benign. And still, you can't get away with even slightly saying something ever so different than what most people around you are saying without having the mob, particularly on Twitter and social media, with this becomes insane. This guy got completely bombarded. And I just think that if you can't have a nuanced opinion that's subtle like this and say, well, you know, I get where you're coming from, but you can't have a conversation at all, because that it may be the time and the moment to be doing this, but he's still a guy who's entitled to his opinion, and he said it so gently and so beautifully. Honestly, it was like this guy had media training. I mean, really, it was unbelievable. So I don't know what else you could do. I mean, he handled it beautifully.
So the other way to look at it, Greg, is Malcolm Jenkins, who plays for the Eagles, for Jesse's team, said that Jerry Jones is a bully and he's just trying to enforce his own orthodoxy on the players and not allow them, you know, their right to express discontent with social justice in the country.
I don't think, I think that's an evasive response to what is a clear perspective, which is you just don't protest at work. No one's stopping you from protesting and showing up. You can go to the police station, you can go to the park, you can make a sign, but you're here at work, and if you do that, you're going to be fired. I don't protest here at work, even when I feel strongly about many things. Dak is, what I found interesting most about this story was when the media brought up the social media backlash, his response was kind of like, whatever. Yeah. And I think he knows the difference between real life, which is his family and his work, and this fake life, which is hysteria and the mob. And more people need, including the people around him, need to adopt that kind of perspective. However, listen, so the reason why this problem persists is two sides are talking past each other. It would be nice to have an actual meeting of the minds, not just a camera on Kaepernick and a camera on Trump, but the solution is always to have people come together and chat.
And if Dak went to Jerry Jones, the owner, and said, here's my charity, here's my cause, can you cut a check? I'm sure it'd be a pretty fat check from Jerry Jones.
All right. Well, how far is too far when taking the perfect social media picture? People pushing the limits for death-defying photos. That's next, right here on The Five.
More and more people across the world are going to extremes to take the perfect shots of themselves. Check out these insane examples. In Australia, so-called selfie police are being called in to help stop tourists like these from taking pictures on the edge of a dangerous cliff. Cops are cracking down and now fining anyone caught jumping the fence near the 160-foot drop. And in the Bahamas, an American model was attacked by a shark and dragged underwater while posing for photos. The woman is okay after being bitten on the wrist. This is insanity, Greg. What's going on? This is also in my book, #DoNotDisturb.
Nicely
but
done.
Nicely done. I took after you. I took, you know.
I call these kill your selfies.
But yeah, why are people, what do you think it is? Is it narcissism gone wild? What's going on?
No, it's just stupidity. I don't really mind this because they're not hurting anybody but themselves. When you marry technology to risk, it often innocent people get killed. A third of, I think, the traffic accidents are now due to distraction via technology. Overtaking drunk driving is texting. So that, to me, is like a real issue because you're actually killing other people. This is Darwinian. they're killing themselves out of their own stupidity. I'm sorry that that's happening, but I worry more for innocent people who are getting hit by cars because somebody's texting.
Yeah. Are you a selfie girl? Are you into?
Not very much. I'm not very good at it. But I would say that they should learn about Photoshop. Because, like that's a computer program, and the kids these days are pretty good at the computers.
So you're saying fake selfies.
Yeah, rather than getting bit by a shark in the water. That sounds like a good idea. Also, I am not for police having to spend any time. I don't think any resources need to be spent on sending cops to go protect people from doing stupid stuff like that.
See, I think these phones make people a little bit crazy, and because we have them in our hands all the time, Juan, and we assume, oh, well, we have to be chronicling our whole life now for social media. Let me take a picture of everything. And because we're addicted to them, this is what we do now. We go crazy, and we have to have the best Instagram page, and it's competitive. Is that what's happening?
I'm not sure. I mean, I heard what you said about narcissism. I was thinking about that. So, you mean people just want to celebrate themselves, or they feel the average person now feels they can get attention or they can be special?
Can be Instagram famous. There are people that have gotten famous just from their Instagram pages.
Seems pretty cheap to me. I mean, anybody can do it if you want to hang off the cliff, but it seems like, is that really what you want to be known for? I mean, to me, it's like porn. I mean, you could do it, but I don't think that's such a smart move. I wouldn't want it for myself or my kids.
Like porn. Yeah.
I mean, it is. It's kind of like but wait a second. We know people wwho will do crazy pictures themselves in order to get
I'm just
attention.
saying, I don't think taking crazy selfies is like porn.
Juan, that's directed at me. I was just trying to make money in college.
Was that it? It was a great show.
And a lot of those movies aren't available anymore.
Oh.
VHS.
For a reason.
What do you do, though? What do you do with kids? You have young kids.
Yeah.
What do you do in this age of everyone's got to chronicle their whole life? People get crazy. They do crazy things. Do you have to sit down and have conversations with your kids about this is unsafe? You shouldn't be doing this. Don't stare at other people's Instagram pages and try to copy them. Is this a dinner table
Well,
conversation?
they're only 6, and they know how to work an iPhone better than I do already.
Exactly,
which
that's
is
what I'm
a little
saying.
humbling. But I tried to take a selfie the other day at the gym, and then I was like this in the mirror.
You're taking a picture at the gym?
No, I did. I tried to, and then all of a sudden, people were looking at me.
They should.
Taking a selfie in the gym, and it's so humiliating.
Yes, you should.
So I couldn't actually take the selfie.
You should never do
They're
that.
Like, oh, Waters is taking a gym
don't
selfie.
ever
Get
do
out
By
of
the
here.
way, the worst selfie ever was that woman in Los Angeles who took a picture of herself with the older woman behind her,
and she made fun
that
of
was
her.
so
She got
offensive.
fired.
Yeah. Or the woman.
We have to ask, why were you taking a selfie in the gym?
And where is
Oh,
it?
come on. What are you? Come on. You know.
Were you flexing?
Let's go to a commercial.
Were you flexing?
One more thing is on next.
One more thing is on next.
There you go.
I want to see the selfie.
This is not.
More and more people across the world are going to extremes to take the perfect shots of themselves. Check out these insane examples. In Australia, so-called selfie police are being called in to help stop tourists like these from taking pictures on the edge of a dangerous cliff. Cops are cracking down and now fining anyone caught jumping the fence near the 160-foot drop. And in the Bahamas, an American model was attacked by a shark and dragged underwater while posing for photos. The woman is okay after being bitten on the wrist. This is insanity, Greg. What's going on? This is also in my book, #Do Not Disturb.
Nicely
But
done.
nicely done. I took after you. I took,
I call these kill your selfies.
But yeah, why are people, what do you think it is? Is it narcissism gone wild? What's going on?
No, it's just stupidity. I don't really mind this because they're not hurting anybody but themselves. When you marry technology to risk, it often innocent people get killed. A third of, I think, the traffic accidents are now due to distraction via technology. Overtaking drunk driving is texting. So that, to me, is like a real issue because you're actually killing other people. This is Darwinian. They're killing themselves out of their own stupidity. I'm sorry that that's happening, but I worry more for innocent people who are getting hit by cars because somebody's texting.
Yeah. Are you a selfie girl? Are you into?
Not very much. I'm not very good at it. But I would say that they should learn about Photoshop. Because, like that's a computer program, and the kids these days are pretty good at the computers.
So you're saying fake selfies.
Yeah, rather than getting bit by a shark in the